Here's how I healed my 10 years of complex childhood trauma. It is not impossible, it is just really, really hard. But I'm going to share with you exactly how I did it. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate for clicking on this video because I tell you, this took a lot of courage for me. I have been wanting to do this, putting myself in front of a camera, but I really could not fight with my imposter syndrome. But here I am, finally sitting here, and I'm like, Yelna, you've got to do it. If there is something that you need to share with the world, this is it. This is your time. You've got to do it. So, my name is Yelna. Nice to meet you. I am originally from two different countries because my mother was Iranian, my father was Bengali from Bangladesh. They met, they got married, they had me, but they moved around in different countries. And eventually, I spent most of my life living in Malaysia. I would say most of my adult life, 12 years of my life, I lived in Malaysia. So when people ask me, where are you from? I really get confused. I don't know what they are referring to. Are you referring to my nationality? Are you referring to where I lived or where I'm coming from? Or it's very confusing. I am 31 years old. I have a hard time just accepting that I have 31 years old because I feel like there are years of my life that I don't know what happened to it. From when I was a very young girl, then to the time after my healing, that's where I started actually enjoying and being in the moment and being present in my life. So there is a huge gap in between where I have no idea what I was doing. And so when I think of myself 31 years old, I'm like, that cannot be it. I am a single child. I never felt like I really wanted siblings because one child for my parents was already a lot. So you can already tell where are most of my traumas are coming from. Quite right after I start feeling better and I started enjoying my life, I also met the love of my life, the one doesn't exist. I am a trauma therapist and a professional counselor. I also do coaching. I specialize in trauma, but I focus on self-love. Basically, is that I acknowledge my clients' traumas and I help them to thrive with it and move towards self-love. That's most of my coaching and therapy goals with my clients. For me, this is so much more than just a job, a profession. I feel like I'm doing this because I want to make something out of all that hardship and the difficulties that I had to experience in my life. I feel like if I can do anything with that is to just put it back into the world in a way that it could be helpful for someone who's probably needed, because I know I needed when I was deep into my pain and struggles, and I was so identified with my trauma that I really needed someone to come and tell me, hey, you're not your trauma. Hey, you can do this. Hey, you can heal yourself. It's very hard. It's very difficult. I'm not going to lie. It is going to take a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, a lot of your money investment, but it's worth it because it is possible. How did I start my healing journey? This is why we're here, okay? We all want to know how to start, where to start, what the heck to do, because you think you're doing fine, you're catching up with life, 1-2 days of no triggers, no anxiety, nothing, and then something happens, it triggers you and it puts you back into the motion of I'm not good enough, I can never do this, this is so hard, I'm never going to make it, and then just falling down. Basically, this is the most I feel difficult part of healing journey. not knowing how to start and not knowing how to go about it. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of days that I feel like, oh, I've got it, I figured it out, I've changed because now I do things differently. Especially when that light bulb, turns on and you have that aha moment of, oh, I'm behaving, I'm self-sabotaging because of that. Oh, I'm realizing that this is happening because of that happened to me in the past. Once those moments happen to you, it is going to be really helpful, but also it's very confusing because then you are so self-aware and you start self-analyzing yourself and people around you and your life so much that kind of gets you so tangled and wrapped up. Then you're like, oh my God, is this going to be a forever journey? Am I going to be forever healing? When is it going to end? Personally, for me, it all started when I lost my mother. I lost my mother when I was 10 years old. I did not have a really healthy relationship with her to begin with. Um, and she had cancer. I'm trauma dumping right now on you. We will get into details. Trust me, I'm gonna spill all the tea for you. Because one way, the reason I want to do it, because I feel the more stories we hear, the more validated we feel, because we were like, oh, that's not only me. Oh, that did not just happen to me. But okay, anyway, my mom died. I was 10 years old, and I split it. I had this whole different personality and persona for myself to protect myself, to help me cope with what just happened to me, because I've just lost one of my main caregivers who I was so attached to. Very unhealthy attachment, but still attachment. I feel like my healing started right there, even though I was so unaware of it, because just the whole fact of me splitting and having this protective shield, it's part of my healing. Now I can say that it was part of my healing, even though it caused me a lot of problems and it was not healthy. At that time, it helped me. At that time, it protected me. At that time, it was necessary. And then I went through this whole 10 years of living on survival mode and living with this persona, this trauma personality that I had created for myself in order to survive, in order to feel safe, seek love, seek attention, to be seen. Slowly, I started to realize that, hold on, what worked for me when I was 10, things that I used to do when I was 15 to help me maintain my sanity, cope with my anxiety, cope with those trauma effects, symptoms. It is not helping me when I'm 18. It is not helping me when I'm entering my 20s. So that slowly aha moments started clicking that, hey, wait a minute. Is this something that I'm doing wrong? Is it me? Am I the problem? It was very early stages. I was still very deflecting and I was very much internalizing everything, but at the same time, I was looking for answers outside me. So I think first stage of healing is just the whole acknowledgement of the trauma, is the whole acknowledging that where you are, how you feel, and literally sitting down and pinpointing, writing down, tracking down your own behavior on what's helping you and what's not helping you. The more difficult things got for me, the more triggers, the more breakups, the more panic attacks, the more breakdowns, the more low moments I had, kept creating this curiosity and this urgency for me that I need to know, I need to fix this, I need to understand how to feel better. Second stage was for me validating that, hey, these things happened to me and they were not okay. They were not normal. They were not natural. Pain and suffering is a natural thing in human beings, right? In our lives. But there are certain things that you don't have to experience, right? So that validation comes with understanding that things happen to you that should not happened, that at some point in your life you are the victim, because you're acknowledging that, okay, I'm acknowledging that this happened to me, but I'm also willing to do something about it, because I don't want to stay there. I don't want to be stuck in that victimhood. The next stage of healing that I feel like I started doing for myself, and now I'm helping my clients to do that, after acknowledgement, after validating all of that, then we start creating safety. That safety, internal safety that was taken away from you because of trauma, needs to be placed back. You need to feel safe in order to thrive. You need to feel safe in order to enjoy life. Something scary happens, we get scared and we're like, oh, I got scared, and then move on with our lives. We are able to come back to that internal safety. That's how you differentiate a negative event that happens to you, something that scares you, compared to when it is trauma. Because when it is trauma, it stays in your body, it stays in your mind, and you're not able to go back into that internal safety. There are various tools and techniques that we are going to talk about them in this channel. That's it. That's what I did. I started working on what helps me feel safe just by being internally, not depending on an outside resource. Just me feeling safe with myself inside my body. That took a very long time for me to understand about my internal safety, about my nervous system, learning how my body works, how my brain works, and all of that. After I learned that, and I got comfortable regulating myself, because I started feeling good just by grounding myself. I started feeling really connected to being. I sought a professional therapist, a person who was specialized to help me exactly with what I thought I was dealing with at that time. I mean, I self-diagnosed myself with BPD. I thought I had borderline personality. But then later on, I found out complex PTSD has a similar symptoms. Later on, I found out I have ADHD as well. So, but just going and asking help for the right person and just trying different things, the next stage for me was to process my trauma, to finally understand and grieve, allow myself to make space and be present with that part of myself that was so much in pain and wounded. And that took, again, a couple of years for me. It took I would say, I mean, in therapy wise, it took maybe 6 months actually in therapy, but the work itself that I started doing on myself, it took years. I took whatever that I learned from therapists, and I was becoming a therapist. I was in the process of becoming a psychologist myself, so I learned all of that, and I tried to make it as simple for myself, because I have an ADHD brain as well. I cannot work with complications, so I try to make it for myself as simple as possible, using lots of tools, using lots of practical tools, which actually I'm doing it right now for my clients, and it works. It really works. It simplifies things. And once I got a hang of that, once I get a hang of how I reconnect back with my inner child, how to reparent my inner child, how do I become a better parent for my inner child, and my mother wound, my father wound, and all of that. And I would tell you, it's still a process. It is not something that I've done. I'm like, oh, done, deal, get over with it. No. So healing is not about, oh, it's done. It's about, oh, I learned something. Now I know how to do it. So I keep doing it. I keep doing it every single day. So after that, the final stage for me in my healing journey, the stage of cultivating self-love, reconnecting back with yourself, with your true authentic self, and going back to life with this new you. It is not really a new version of yourself, it is just a gathered version of yourself where you're now a whole. You're not into pieces anymore, but rather you're a whole, the whole picture, everything, how you have seen yourself in different shattered images. You put them back together, you love this image, and you go back to life. You start life creating new experiences, and basically it's like you're entering a new era. It's like a new, given a new life, you know. Of course there are going to be ups and downs again. There are going to be downtowns where new things happens in this new life for you. You know, you start learning that, hey, not everything is under my control, not everything is going to be a black and white thing for me to figure out. But because of all the work that you've done previously in the previous stages, it is much faster, much easier for you to bounce back up. You come back to your body and your presence, you know. This is the formula. That's it. I give it to you. This is the work of healing complex childhood trauma. You do this work, you do it with someone who is very familiar with this work. I try to do it alone and it doesn't work because you keep getting stuck in your own head. You keep getting stuck. You get on your own way, you know, when you're trying to heal yourself. But this is how I did it. And I haven't even told you my story yet of what the hell happened to me in this complexity of my trauma. We're going to get into that in more detailed videos because there are different types of traumas that I experienced myself and I got to learn about it. For example, as we talked about the mother wound, the father wound, the relationship, the attachment, you know, the healing the attachment. I had similar experiences like sexual harassment, SA, abuse. Yeah, I hope you really stay connected with me because I have a lot to share with you. And I just wanted to make this video, share about my healing, and give out the formula that helped me and it's helping my client right now. This is it. This is where I am right now. This is who I am. This is me, Yelna, and I want to see you in my next video. Take care of yourself. Happy healing.